Um, Unit 5, practice test number 3, quadratic equations. Question number 11. Does this function y equals 3 times x plus 2 squared minus 5 have a maximum value or a minimum value? Maximum value means that's the highest point. The graph would look something like this. Minimum value means you have a lowest point. The graph would look something like this. In this graph, I have no maximum point because it goes on for infinity. Here I have no minimum point because the graph continues to go down. There's no minimum point. There's no point where there's nothing left below that. It always keeps going. But I do have a maximum point here. It never gets higher than this. And I have a minimum point here. It never gets lower than that. That's what this question is asking. So to answer that, I'm going to find my vertex first of all, and then look at my end behavior. If I look at this end behavior as x approaches infinity, y approaches infinity, but y also approaches infinity when x approaches negative infinity. So my end behavior tells me here that I have a minimum point. Here, as x approaches infinity, y approaches negative infinity. As x approaches negative infinity, y approaches negative infinity also. So I'm looking at that end behavior to tell me whether I have a maximum or a minimum. If I look at this, as x approaches positive infinity, y approaches positive infinity means x is going to be greater than 2. I'll have a positive number here. I square a positive number, I get a positive number. 3 times a positive number is a positive number. If that's really large, it doesn't matter that I subtract 5. So when x approaches infinity, y approaches infinity. As x approaches negative infinity, y approaches. I'll take a look at that. X is going to be a negative number, but it's going to be what we might say is a really long negative number. Negative 1,000,000. That's actually a very low number, but we're thinking of it in terms of a very long number. A number that the absolute value of the number is much greater than 2. So it's a lot further away from 0 than 2. If I have a negative number that's a long ways from 0, adding 2 won't get me back to positive. So I'm always going to have a negative number here as x approaches negative infinity. When I square that negative number, though, I get a positive number. Positive number times positive 3 gives me a positive number. It's going to be a really large positive number. When I subtract 5, it'll still be a positive number. So as x approaches negative infinity, y is still going to approach positive infinity. That tells me the graph looks like this, and it has a minimum value. So I can say y has a minimum value. What is that value? Now I need to look at my vertex. If I look at my vertex, I know that at the vertex where the minimum value occurs, my y value is negative 5, my x value is negative 2. So I can say the minimum value is negative 5.